So I'm here with,
Logan,
and what do you do for a living?
I'm a personal trainer.
And what's a day in the life look like as a personal trainer?
It really depends. I'll have different meetings set up with different types of clients on different days. So I've got clients for running, powerlifting, and then triathlon. So I'll meet with those clients either virtually or in person, and I will wake up early in the morning, do my workout, and then I will go through all my clients and work on their plans and get all those sent out.
And how did you get into this?
Fitness has always been something I've been really passionate about, and just kind of came to me one day when I just didn't really know what I wanted to do.
And how long have you been a personal trainer?
I've been a personal trainer for 3 years right now. I've been in the Army for 3 years, and I started doing that as soon as I got out of the Army.
I see. And how much do you make doing this?
It really depends on like what sport I'm coaching for the clients. So I charge about $200 a month for virtual training for my triathlon, and about $100 to $150 for powerlifting and running.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this field?
Just go for it. It can be kind of intimidating at first, but if you just really stick to it and you're dedicated, it'll work out. It'll be successful.
Ryan,
And what do you do for a living?
I trade Scandinavian equities.
How'd you get into that?
Really, just someone heard me telling a funny story and just thought I'd be good for the job, so it kind of just developed into that.
That's pretty cool. And do you do it independently or do you work for like a hedge fund?
I actually work for a bank.
How much do you make doing this?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that.
What's a misconception people have about working in finance that's not true?
That's a really good question. No one's really a bonehead. Like, no one's like these, like, no one's walking around throwing sandwiches at people because things aren't getting done. It's actually like a pretty decent group of guys that I work with anyway. You know, I've always worked with really good people, so that's a huge misconception.
So it's not like Wolf of Wall Street.
Not really. I mean, back in the 80s, it probably was, but like, not now. No, not at all. Not at all.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into trading?
Work hard, pay your dues. Trust me on this, people today, they think they want their dream job right out of school. And if you get your dream job and you're 22 years old, you're gonna lose your dream job because you gotta pay your dues. And I would just say, pay your dues. If it's something you wanna do, get your hands dirty, show up early, stay late, pay your dues.
I'm a software engineer.
And how did you get into being a software engineer?
I took a coding class in high school. That was like my first time really getting into it. And I could see myself really getting into it when I took that.
Yeah.
So then I majored it in college, and now here I am.
And what's a day in the life look like as a software engineer? What do you work on?
Yeah, it's like a balance of building new features while making sure you don't break what you already have, debugging stuff, etc., working with other people.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've been a software engineer for about 4 years now.
And how much do you make?
My base salary is around like 190.
That's not including stocks and everything else.
Not including everything else, yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to break into tech and become a software developer?
I would say just like get hands-on into it. Like there's so many resources online, like, and a lot of companies don't even require a college degree anymore. So just get hands-on, like that's the best way to learn this kind of stuff. Like when you're debugging issues and just really get into the nitty-gritty details.
What's a misconception people have about being a software engineer that's like far from reality?
I think like how much time you spend coding. Like the more senior you get, the less time you actually spend coding. It's more so like guiding others to code, kind of working with product people to like figure out the right like kind of features to ship, like what design decisions to make, what trade-offs to make, stuff like that. So as you kind of get more into it, you actually spend less time coding.
All right, so I'm here with
Ed.
And what do you do for a living?
I edit social ads on Instagram and Facebook.
I see. And how did you get into this?
I applied to a job at a pet food company, and they said I'd be making videos, but then when I got there, all I made was the ads. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this?
About a year now, so I got laid off a year ago, and then I don't want to die, and I need money, so this is what I keep doing. Yeah.
How much were you making when you were still working?
When I was still working, I was making around $60,000.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to enter a creative industry like you?
Make sure you're okay with the possibility of not making money. There's so many jobs where I feel like you can just coast, you know, and then you don't have to do much, but then like for creative, you have to like, you always keep pushing, you know, and then like you always have to like give a part of yourself into the thing that you make, and it gets tiring after a while, you know. It's like it's hard to avoid burnout, so yeah, just make sure you love it, I think.
All right, so I'm here with
Vlad.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a product marketing manager in tech.
And how did you get into this?
I followed the path. I started in tech sales, and then I kind of like the product side, and then I kind of ended up in here.
How long have you been a product marketing manager?
Closing on 4 or 5 years right now,
And how much do you make?
between like 180 to 20K.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to break into tech and get a similar role?
I would say even though tech skills, like for example coding, aren't really required, I would say kind of get an understanding a bit of the product positioning, like try to understand if like tech is really what you want to do, or you want to do it just because it's, you know, out there.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to break into tech and get into a role like yours?
I would say there's like a lot of courses online you can take. I started taking product management courses. You can find them on LinkedIn, on Coursera, whatever. Try to understand that first, and then I think interviewing is fairly easy from there.
What's a misconception of working in tech that people get wrong?
I would say it's harder than people think. I'm not saying there's going to be roles out there that are going to be fairly easy, but it's from what I've seen on TikTok and all the other, like it's definitely harder than what people think.
Olivia.
And what do you do for a living?
I am a business coordinator for a law firm.
How did you get into this?
I got into the legal industry by first being a paralegal, and then I pivoted into this role because you make more money with less hours. So it's simple. If you're a paralegal, you can either be a paralegal or go to law school. And I didn't want to do either of those things, so you had to change it.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this?
About a year and a half.
And how much do you make doing this?
About 70K.
And what advice would you have for someone that wants to do what you do or work in this industry?
If you want to break into legal industry, start as a legal assistant, paralegal. The turnover is super high. It's very stressful work, but you get your foot in the door. And because the turnover is so high, especially for recent grads, it's a good place to start.
You got to be someone who actually wants to help people.
What do you do for a living?
I have my own health and wellness business.
What does your health and wellness business do?
I try to help people live a longer life with less pain and get more fulfillment from whatever they're trying to pursue.
And how long have you been doing this?
10 years now.
How did you get started in this?
I was always in sports as I was growing up, and I enjoyed the training aspect for the sports, so I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. As I was going to school, I started working on Wall Street at a gym, Equinox, right over here, and I started working with like the best businessmen in the world, and they helped me realize that I don't need to be a physical therapist to have a practice to help people feel better. I could just start my own business before that, so I dropped out of school, I just started my own thing, and I've been doing that ever since.
That's amazing. And how much do you make doing this?
It depends, right? So my business model right now is in person. So if I see someone in person, I can charge anywhere from 150 up per hour. So right now I can make $120,000 to $180,000 a year, depending on how much I want to work. But what I'm trying to do now is scale my business to work with people online. So then from there, you know, the sky's the limit. Right now, there's only so many hours of the day I can see people and train, and I just can charge more. So the goal now is scale my business to work with people online and virtually to help more people.
That sounds great. And what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into the health and wellness industry?